If you have XO in your body chart, especially in your month pillar, you need to watch this because you are meant to be a speaker and you need to get yourself ready to able to speak on stage. Welcome to Ask Auntie Amy, where we are changing the world one person at a time. Like and subscribe and get notified for our new videos. Most speaker training focus on the art of speaking, story structure, stage presence, but now how do you turn all that into business that pays? Today, we are joined by Nasheen Aziz, and as I say, she's a co-founder of a boutique speakers bureau and agency based in the Bay Area. So she's local, and she actually, Nasheen and her team works with companies, conferences, and universities to source and book speakers. And she also consult with emerging and established thought leaders on the business side of speaking and how to position their message, build the right assets, and become truly bookable. So without further ado, let's welcome Nasheen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Amy. And it's just really nice to be invited to speak to you all. It's like such a fun that you have like this mastermind group together, and it's a lonely thing out there. Hear a lot of speakers; they feel super lonely on the road to building out their brand and trying to get professional and formalized. So it's nice that you all have each other. Happy to answer any questions.
So can you briefly share with us, like, how did you get started? Like running a speaker bureau. I mean, I didn't even know there was a business, but
Yeah.
I'm curious, like how?
You and me both. I started, so it's me and my husband. We're a lean mean team here at Gravity Speakers. My husband had been working at another speakers bureau, and so that's where the whole concept even like came to life. The fact that like people like you, like speakers exist, that conferences are like essentially rock concerts, and that how you curate the type of folks and thought leaders on stage, it was a whole industry in and of itself. So he would come home with all these stories, and I had been kind of an inflection point on what I wanted to do after being an operations supervisor at a drug and alcohol program. So that was an interesting turn for me. My husband would come home with these stories every day, and I was like, since I'm trying to figure out what my next steps are, how about we just start our own thing? So personally, I had a background in mass communication, so it just kind of felt like a right fit. And what we were seeing out there, it was a lot of speaker bureaus, but there weren't a lot of different kind of voices out there, I guess. It was kind of one note for a lot of folks. And we felt like, we wanted to see more diversity and more types of people being on stage because there's so many people with such interesting backgrounds that like have that kind of come with a different lens to life. And so I think build it and they will come. So that's kind of how Gravity started. It felt really natural, and it was more curiosity and maybe a little dumb naivety of like let's just do something I don't really know much about. But it's been 8 years going strong, so I guess I'm doing the right
Wow.
thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Because, I mean, usually we stumble upon on things that we don't. I have story like that too. It's like, I never thought I was going to be opening a flower shop, but here I am. I'm opening a flower shop.
Yeah, I
After,
love
I've
that.
always liked full arrangement, but never thought of opening a flower shop as a business. But as
Yeah.
it turned out, that's how I got into too. So
Yeah.
now when a client comes to you and say, hey, we need a speaker, what
Mhm.
happens next behind the scene?
So we kind of just get mobilized. We have such a vast network of speakers that we work with. So what's the first thing we want to learn about is what's the event brief? What's the topic that they're looking for? Who's that audience and what's like the budget? So we are essentially kind of going through our inbox, going through our CRM. We are searching for the right speaker that fits that brief. But we also partner with other speaker bureaus. So we might be using other speaker bureaus for their speakers that they might exclusively represent. Um, but yeah, essentially, we're putting together like a good, strong proposal, giving all different types of options as far as the type of personality, maybe the type of style, but we're kind of always sticking to a theme. So we're always very, very keenly aware of how a speaker is being presenting themselves. So the easier we can digest an information, obviously, the faster we can do our job. So yeah, that's basically what we do in terms of building out
So, I
proposals.
mean, we have in audience here a lot of speakers, future speakers, current speaker, and we're all like, how do we get booked? Just like, what are you looking for when you look for potential speakers online for the first time?
Yeah.
Most of us are the first timer here. Like, what are the first two, three things checked? Do you look at their website? You Google them up, Facebook them, something like that?
Is all of the above. First things first is the website because that's like your online store. How else are we going to find you? So we're looking at your website. We're looking at your LinkedIn. We're looking at the different maybe thought leadership pieces that you're putting out there. So like, are you being mentioned in articles? Most importantly, is there a video of you speaking? Because if we can't see you speak, then we can't really offer a speaker up to an event organizer on blind faith of just a name and a bio. Unless you're a celebrity, that's a whole different story. So it is looking at your website, it's looking at your LinkedIn, it's looking at your Facebook, it's looking at your Instagram. It's all of the pieces of what makes up your personal brand.
So, like on their website, how long of a clip of a speaking, if we put that on the website, how long
Yeah.
of a clip do we need? Is like a 10-minute? Do we put the whole full speech, or do we just put clips of speech on there?
Uh, it's really important. Like a speaker reel is super helpful, but that just is sort of what gets you hooked, right? In terms of understanding on a broad level, very quickly seeing how you kind of present on stage and also showing the different stages you've been on. So big rooms, small rooms, could be more intimate, could be virtual. So having that reel is really helpful, but ultimately having a demo video, meaning it could be 5 minutes, it could be your whole keynote, it could be a finishing of a full thought. That's always super helpful for us to have as well. So it could be all of the above, but essentially, always having like a full keynote recording of like what that whole session would look like. Maybe it's a signature session or your signature keynote presentation offering in your back pocket. May not have to put the whole thing on your website because it's quite a lot, but always having that on hand. So if an event organizer or bureau agent asks for something like that, you can at least pull that out. So at least giving that full thought, and definitely once you have enough stages and enough film, because that's always the tough part is like chicken or the egg. How do I get that film? How do I put that reel together? But thinking about as you're doing all of these different events, making sure you're getting that kind of assets. It could even be like B-roll of you being in that event, photos from that event. It could be getting the event organizer a video testimonial of like how they felt about you. So like just be really mindful that video assets are probably the most important thing for a speaker trying to develop their personal brand and show up in the marketplace.
What about the quality? Are we looking for like professional reels, or are we looking for, can I just like, my friend, can you just shoot me with my cell phone or with your cell phone? I mean, is quality that important? Or, yeah,
I mean, how do you feel about it? Like if you see a video that you can't really hear and it's really shaky. I don't know if it's doing you any service, right? It might be doing a disservice by seeing that. Not to say that I think you should really be discerning about yourself. If you feel like you can't really get the energy of you on stage, then is it really helpful? So it doesn't have to be like glitzy, glamoury and such super cuts and like amazing high def, but I need to be able to hear you and I need to be able to see you clearly pacing the stage or however it may be, and not kind of going in and out of frame. It would be helpful for me to see you, just like basically
okay,
finish a thought.
all right. Okay, I was just trying to get a feel of what it will look like,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I've done talk with just putting a tripod in. I mic myself up and then put record, and then I talk.
yeah,
And then I realized, God, I need a cameraman that can get a different angle of me.
yeah. Because it's helpful to have it, but if you really think about how I'm going to use it, you end up having to throw that film away because you're like, I don't know, it's just. So invest in somebody to record you. It's going to go a long way. You just never know when you can use it down the line. 4 or 5 years, it could really live for a long time.
Okay, all right. And if someone, for example, that have like multiple passion, like like for me, I'm a floor artist, but I'm also a feng shui coach. And I could be talking about small business, women owned business. I mean, I have too many topics, is what I'm thinking. I'm wearing too many hats. I mean,
Yeah.
there's few of us who enjoy doing different multiple things, right?
Yeah.
Do we need to like niche down? I mean, like how do we
Yeah.
to have our multiple personality be on the same stage at the same time? I guess that's how the way it is, right?
It is always a challenge when somebody gets too general and says, I can talk a lot about a lot of different things, which is true. A lot of people do wear many hats and they are an expert in a certain thing. But ultimately, if to help you, and this is something that we help a lot with the consulting side, it's kind of narrowing down the focus and figuring out what's the lane I need to be picking, because you should be picking a lane. It could be two lanes, but it can't be five lanes. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
do that? And how I kind of the way my thought process is around figuring out what's the credibility, what's the strongest credibility you own, and what is it that makes you really clear that that's the lane that you are expert in. So start there. So you could be looking at like all the different types of companies you've worked for, all the successes that you've made. Like what kind of metrics are you getting from this? So what kind of can really bolster that credibility piece and then kind of dive into there. And as once you get like established that lane, not to say you can't rebrand yourself or change it up, but in the sense of if I'm an event organizer or a company asking you to come in to speak to my group, I'm going to want to see why is it that you're that person that should be speaking on this. So really be honest with the credibility that you're coming in, to what makes you really unique in that space. And being super clear on your keynote, your topic by identifying like the problem. What's the problem you're solving? And as soon as you can be really super clear about that, then the takeaways come along really naturally. And an event organizer can go, I see, like that's why I need to have you here because you understand me. You understand the problem I'm going through. And so it kind of lends to that credibility piece as well. I hope that's
Okay,
clear.
so for many of us who are like never been booked before, how
Yeah.
do we get someone to even notice us? Like
Yeah.
we need to start somewhere. Where should we start for someone who's brand new, like never done anything? I know some of us actually have done tech talks, and actually there's two of us in this group actually have
Oh,
done
great.
TEDx talks already. No,
Nice.
three. I forgot Terrence. Sorry, three of us have. Three here
Awesome.
have actually done TEDx talk, and then there are a
Yeah.
few of us, like including myself, like done just my regular talk. Never got paid, never nobody, you know.
Yeah.
So where do we get started? How do we get noticed by people?
Honestly, it starts with your network because it's a people you know. It's about having that connection and reaching out to folks individually, telling your friends, telling your family, telling people, hey, I'm a keynote speaker. Check out my website. These are the things I bring to the stage. Like I want like hook me up. Do you know anybody who's having an event? It's so underrated just being able to reach out to your first network. And then obviously being really on the lookout of what kind of again, if you know your topic, you know your lane, you know what kind of conferences going are going on. It is a bit of a numbers game. It is a lot of filling up call for speakers, and it is doing a lot of sleuthing, maybe figuring out who is that event organizer, how can I kind of get in front of their face, and doing that kind of hard work of picking up the phones, kind of being in the same spaces of that. Because ultimately, even for a bureau agent, as much as like connections that we have and people may come to us, we still have to kind of do that background and that hunting and that figuring out how do I how do I like kind of really personally connect with somebody. But again, start with your network and really announce to everybody, I am a keynote speaker. This is what I speak about. What events are going out there? How can I help you?
All right. So for some of us, I know that we have to pay our dues. You know what they were saying? You got
Yeah.
to pay your dues, right? You got to do free talk. It's like, when is the point that we're gonna stop being free? Or it's like, do we need to start? I see. I don't believe in used to start as free. Uh-oh, I gotta unplug my Alexa. I'll be right back. But anyway, so think about that. Like, talk on like when. I mean, it's like, do we always free? Do we always start at free talk for how long before we turn the corner, go, we're no longer free? And how much should we charge? I mean, I have no idea, like things
Yeah.
like that. Okay.
You want to think about first and foremost, in the beginning, you do have to do your reps in. You have to put your reps in. You got to get your practice in there. You got to work your material. And you have to also think about what value really is from an event because it's not just money. It's like getting those assets. It's who's that audience? Am I talking to a bunch of folks from one company or am I talking to a whole room of decision makers from multiple companies? If it's something like that and they're recording my keynote, and I maybe have an access to the list of folks that are in that room, that's that's as good as money because that could be future money. So think about it as what the value you're getting from that event that you're doing for free. And at what point does it make sense? Because again, so again, if you're evaluating the room and it's like a room of the same folks, there's maybe no spin-off business from that situation. Do you really want to do it for free in that room? But the biggest thing that you should do is always just ask. There is no harm asking. If you don't ask, you will not get paid. So in the sense of when do you start asking for money, it is like why not ask right away? Now the question is how much money should you be asking? Oh, that's such a varied question. Sometimes you have to kind of see who else are the other speakers, do a little bit of research and go, are they paid speakers? And also, if there is maybe like 50 speakers at this one event, they're probably only paying like the three headliners, and the rest of folks are just trying to get some stage time. So also be realistic of what's going on there. Um, I forgot to mention, so when we're thinking about the value of a free event, not unpaid event, I should say, think about the group that you're going to be speaking to, whether that could be a spin-off business. How are you also maximizing being on that stage? Are you putting up a QR code with like a survey to follow up? I think there's a product called Talkadot that's really good at capturing that kind of potential leads. So again, if you're speaking to a room, you're not getting paid, making sure that people remember you and they can get their contact information. Hopefully, you can get recordings or you're recording it yourself. You can get maybe the name of the folks or the list of folks in the room so you can hit them up afterwards. And you also want to think about, oh yeah, obviously travel and expenses. Ask for that. Make sure that they're getting that covered. Maybe hopefully they can pay for your hotel. So those are the kind of the things that outside of just being paid straight money, like what else brings value from speaking at an event. But again, the question around the how much to ask, you know, start at 1,000. You got to ask for something. See what you can always negotiate down. But yeah, kind of get approachable with that. See who else is speaking there and do a little like research, like, and maybe you can figure out
Okay.
what's a good number to throw out there.
You don't want to start high and then negotiate your way.
I mean, you got to kind of be honest with
Mhm.
again, what is that event organizer? How what kind of a budget do you feel like this? What's the production value of this event? So you kind of want to approach that in that way.
Wait.
But it's good to stay consistent. So start with a strong number for yourself. I wouldn't go super high, obviously, um, especially if you don't have that brand built out. So if you're really just starting, just kind of be humble and go, okay, maybe 1,500. You could say that and see how it goes.
Okay.
No
Okay,
shame.
guys, you heard that, huh? Either 1,000, 1,500, that should be started. We should not do it cheaper than that. No, just kidding.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. That's a very common number I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay. Well, at least we have some sort of starting point. And actually, I'm thinking like getting the asset is more important than anything. Getting the list of the people attending. I mean, that is important, I think, personally, to for future marketing. And so let me see what else I have. Oh, I did. I asked you. I asked about how important is the pretty wheel is. Well, we talked about that. Good sound quality. Good sound quality.
Yeah.
It can't be too much on your phone. All right. So at what point does it make sense for us to approach a speaker bureau? And what needs to be in place before we do that? At one point we go, we need an agent now to book us out. At what point do we need to do that?
It's such a personal decision when it comes to getting an agent. I see a lot of speakers who are career speakers and they're just doing it on their own because they have their own team. I also see how some of these same speakers may be going through a season of they want to switch it up a little bit. Maybe they want to get in strategically be aligned with a certain bureau in order
Hmm.
to get access to those clients. And then also just thinking about like the different types of bureaus that are out there. So I don't know if everybody has sort of a baseline of what a speaker bureau does and the different models, but essentially, a model like ours is we have a hybrid one. So we have about close to 30 exclusive speakers that we exclusively represent, meaning any event that inquiry that goes to them, we are managing. We handle all the negotiations. We're obviously doing all the contracts. We're chasing money. We are streamlining communications. So the speakers really just focused on the work that they're doing, which is bringing the keynote to stage. At the same time, we have a lot of listed speakers. If you've been on our website, gravityspeakers.com, there's a lot of folks on there, and we have spoken to every single one of them. We love their story, and they clearly have a personal brand and brand positioning as a speaker that's super clear. But at the same time, we are doing all the same things in a sense of the contracting, the negotiation, the all the chasing of money, the invoices, and the streamlining of communication. The difference obviously is they're not exclusive to us, so we're pitching them events. They're not bringing events to us. So I guess in the question around, sorry, the question was more when is it right to approach an agent or to get an agent? Well, you need to be busy because if you're not busy, it makes no sense to be giving part of your commission to a speakers bureau. So you need to be at least being to be in demand because the speakers bureau is, looking for a speaker, if it's especially around exclusive representation, that's actually busy, and that's enough business for us to be able to handle. But there's so many speakers that reach out to our inbox who don't are not looking for representation. They're looking to be listed. So they do that once they actually have a put together brand. So you need to be like very clear on your website. You need to have video assets. You need to have your keynote topics or descriptions dialed in. You should be having all of these different brand logos, meeting all the different companies that you've spoken for, testimonials. So that's when you should be approaching a bureau to say, hey, I would love to be listed or check me out or learn more about me. I would love to be, put my hat in the ring for any of the events that come across your desk. But you really need to have all of that dialed in. I hope
So
that's helpful.
for those of us who's not ready for the agent yet, for an agency for a bureau, how should we start? Who, I mean, besides calling our friends, like, do you know anybody talking? I mean, is there like what, how, where, I mean, who, how do we get into toss our
A
hat
speakers
in the
bureau?
ring? I guess that's the way it is, I should say.
Yeah. So we're part of the International Association of Speaker Bureaus. So that's totally a resource you can go to in terms of researching all the bureaus that are out there. Um, I want to really emphasize that bureaus are just one tool in a speaker's toolbox. It's not the end all and be all of being able to get booked consistently just because you're on a bureau site. It is really hard work. A speaker needs to be out there pounding the pavement and doing their own marketing. What's nice with the bureau is that it does give you that credibility piece. It does kind of signal to the market, hey, this is a serious speaker. Take a look at this person when you're being listed amongst all of the other bureaus. But I just want to really emphasize you really have to come to them with a full brand already because it's so crowded out there. If you're coming kind of half baked, it's really hard for you to get the attention of a bureau agent. But I'm really glad to be speaking here because now you can totally contact me. I get to see you all. I'm very happy to always like explore more and give more advice around things. And it's a tough market. It is building your own business, essentially. So you got to keep working at that. And the more people you network with, the more people you know, the more things you're doing like this, um, the higher your chances are for succeeding in this business.
Okay. All right. So let me see. We are going to have Q&A. We are going to have Q&A. And I think somebody said that if we have a book, it helps better for our chances of, does it really? If we
Yeah,
have
I
a
mean,
book
a
or
book
something?
is really a good signal to show like that you are a thought leader in a certain space. Now, do you need one to be successful? No. But by all means, it's such a good way, especially if maybe you're kind of stagnant at a certain fee level. You write a book, you get to increase your fees. But let's be clear, you want to have a book that's you have want to have enough to say to write a book, not just to write a book, right? And self-publish. You can always do the self-publishing route. But it does help with like a negotiation piece in terms of the fee level and like what you can also have in terms of a giveaway for event organizers to think, oh, okay, everybody gets to walk away with one of your books. That's always nice as well. So
Wow. Okay, great.
yeah.
So now, if someone in this mastermind and want to land at 3 to 5 paid gigs in the next year,
Mhm.
what would you have them prioritize first?
Um, so if you want to land a paid gig, 3 to 5 of them, what to prioritize first? Definitely putting together your keynote topics and descriptions, being really dialed in on their website, being really dialed in with videos, and being dialed in with testimonials. Those are things that are going to be able to help an event organizer decide you are the right person for that particular event and that particular stage. And it signals that you're serious and it signals that you're a paid speaker. So focus
Okay.
on that website, focus on that reel, not a reel, but video evidence of you speaking because it doesn't have to just be a reel. And be really clear on what your keynote topic or workshop offering, your presentation offering looks like. I always, there's so many. speakers that I've seen who come with their topics that are so vanilla, meaning like they could just say, this is a topic about leadership and it's about team building and it's about how to connect everybody together in order to have like a unified company, as opposed to going really deep on like what is that presentation about. Like, I love to talk about like the framework around problem, credibility, and transformation, and identifying that audience when you're writing out your keynote topics or descriptions. So it gets so clear that the event organizer knows this is a problem you're solving, this is why you're the right person, and these are the key takeaways and the transformations that people are going to come away with, and definitely calling out the audience, because that really helps with targeting the specific, like, is it a C-suite person that's going to be like really getting a lot from my talk? Is it going to be the first line service workers that are going to be getting most from my talk? Is it going to be is it for women's conferences? Is it a women's topic? So, I say really, really get focused on your content if you want to get paid to speak, because that's what's going to differentiate you.
Okay, so on the pay thing now, I heard that we should kind of business conferences pays more than, I mean, I don't know how would I say it. I mean, do we have to business related talk or can we talk about helping people coming over, coming, helping them over their trauma, things like that. I mean, we have
Yeah.
a lot of speaker here who topic is helping individual to get over trauma, to how to improve self thing. It's not a
Yep.
corporate level thing. I mean, is there a market for something like that?
There is a market for that for sure, because there's so many inspirational, motivational speakers, even speakers who obviously talk a lot about mental health, psychology, and things like that. It's knowing and being savvy enough to understand how you can customize that topic to a specific different kind of audience. The fact remains that, corporates do pay the most, right? But there are so many well-being, wellness events that pay as well. And also within a corporate, they are looking for mental health speakers, maybe for certain themed months. Like, is it May? It's Mental Health Awareness Month. So that's a really hot month for folks like that. But an inspiring story, a lot of corporates want an inspiring story because they don't need to hear about like maybe how to improve my business, but how do I motivate my people? And hearing an inspiring story, it kind of just adds a different flavor. So there's a total market for wellness speakers, mental health speakers, inspiring stories, and motivational, speakers for sure. And it can work for so many different kinds of audiences. You just have to be really clued in on how you want to present that and how you can make it relatable to that audience.
Okay. Um, I'm going to open up to the floor for Q&A for people who have questions. Raise your hand
Sure.
and I'll try to spotlight you. Who would who have a burning question that you need to ask, Nasheen? Yes. Hang on, let me how do I remove myself? Here we go. Replay. Oops. Oh,
Hi.
Hi, hi. Thank you so much. I've not been able to speak, literally not speak for 2 days. So I'm now desperate to ask questions because now I can speak, even though I
Yay.
have a sore throat. So, okay, here's my situation. So I've recently, like really recently, like 2 days ago, my first TEDx talk has been published. So
Amazing.
I will approach you and send you the link.
Yes, please.
And the talk is called Can We Teach AI to Love Us? And it's kind of psychoanalytical, but also historical. And so my background is I am indeed an award-winning documentary filmmaker. I
Amazing.
made a film called Married to the Eiffel Tower quite a long time ago about women who fall in love with objects and not people. Actually, I shot in San Francisco, some of it. But so the natural, and I have a book coming out with an
Okay.
academic publisher on AI intimacy, and I've published other academic books. And so here's the thing. I have been a successful academic, I have a PhD, so I'm a doctor, Agnieszka Piotrowska. So I've spoken at a number of academic conferences as a keynote. I will say that I probably don't have a record of it particularly, but recently I have some. So I can certainly create some kind of show reel and also with pretty pictures and things. I can do that. Um, so the question would be, I am keen to talk about AI intimacy because I feel I have a message, I have a kind of thing to say to people, which is the
Yeah.
key thing. I am asked to speak, and people are so used for an academic to speak unpaid. It's ridiculous that
Mm.
it's a shift, it's quite a serious shift. And it's one of our big sessions, guys. Somebody else talked about it because it's like a whole cultural shift
Mhm.
that one has to go through. So I am keen to make that shift.
Okay.
So but at the same time, I certainly could talk about women's issues. I've written a book about nasty woman and subversion of patriarchy and
Okay.
about miracles and spirituality. So I understand. I'll send you my talk and everything so you can have a look at it. But I
Sure.
sort of feel I need some guidance because I would position myself, maybe somebody would be interested with big technological things, maybe
Yeah.
because
No,
AI is a big topic. So talking about
yeah.
AI and ethics, why
Yes.
not? So I think I should start with this first because I've literally got this TEDx talk and you can see that I've done okay.
Yes.
I
AI
did-
is such a hot topic right now. It's all trend. It's super trendy. Like, and I'm so interested to hear like your perspective on that and like
yeah,
what like yeah, I'm curious.
exactly. So maybe I'll just reach out and you can see what you can do but my problem is I'm telling you this is ridiculous in because I look quite busy on LinkedIn. First of all, people think I'm too busy to reach out for me to go because and also most of my contacts are academic. So recently I did this big talk and I have some of it so I can put it in a show reel, but it was almost unpaid. It was kind of expenses and just
Yeah.
rubbish,
Yeah.
just like forget it. And then I gave another talk. I'm a Quaker as well. So I gave a talk to the Quaker community. I didn't expect to be paid at all for that.
Okay.
But I'm thinking I'm talking all the time. This is why I probably lost my voice and I'm not getting paid. It's ridiculous. So I need to
Yeah.
do something. This is some shift. And I've just been
Yeah.
saying, oh, yes, yes, because I need experience. But I think, okay, fine. I've got experience. I've got a TEDx. I want to do something else.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's such a shift. I hear that all the time. I'm speaking for free. I'm doing this and doing that. But yeah, it's about now how are you changing up the perception and not just talking to the same academic like events. So you have to do switch and really formulate your packaging, your speaker topics into like how is this relating to companies that would actually play. And I have to say it's like a lot of corporates, a lot of maybe innovation, future technology type of events and conferences. A lot of them do pay. But it's now like how are people kind of connecting those two dots for you? Are you like kind of explaining to them exactly how uh that you are like essentially positioning yourself as a paid speaker? And I couldn't give you more advice outside of until I look at what you're actually having right now and kind of really pinpoint, okay, this is the shift that needs to be made. These are the kind of verbiage and kind of like go to market strategy you need to start thinking about.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. So
yeah.
this is why I think I do really need help. So I'll reach out to you separately. But another thing that's happening, which is not nice, this is the marketplace that we're in, guys, as well, that visibly people are beginning to kind of on LinkedIn steal my ideas and start writing things that I've written. And maybe one should just say, well, let them get on with it, and hopefully I can still do my brand, right?
Yeah, it's kind of tough, right? I hear a lot of people try to like gatekeep, like, oh, this is my idea. I don't want to put out my whole like speaking philosophy out online because somebody might copy it. But like ultimately it's showmanship too, because speaking you can have the knowledge, but it's how are you teaching it from the stage? That's what makes a great speaker. So, there's a whole business side and then there's a whole art side. I may not like be the best teacher in the art side, but I can certainly see somebody that's a
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
right?
Business
So
is
be,
what I
yeah,
need help with. And I
but yeah.
literally have only just got here, literally like thinking I had obviously some blocks about selling and God knows what from childhood. We can talk about it separately. I literally just got here saying, no, I want to be paid.
Right.
This
It just made
is
that shift
just
in your head.
ridiculous. It's just getting ridiculous. It's just
Yeah.
getting completely out of hand. And I was going to speak today. I was going to go for it, even with this sore throat. Luckily, somebody else on the conference, whatever, it was cancelled. And I suddenly thought, thank God for that. And I thought, this is all wrong when I'm thinking, thank God for that I'm not speaking. So we need
Yeah.
to rethink it. So
Yeah.
I
It
will
starts with
reach out.
it
Thank
starts with
you.
a
And I
mindset
know
shift.
lots of people.
Oh, my pleasure, my
Right.
pleasure.
People have questions, but there's some curious things, we are so strange. And yes, my whole background is in psychoanalysis, but I still struggle with some of these issues.
I get it. Totally get it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Who else have questions? And let me figure out how to remove spotlight. There we go. Remove spotlight. Uh, anybody else have question? You guys are awful quiet. Did we cover everything? Ah, okay, here we go. Spotlight. There we go.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi, Nasheen.
Hi, Monica.
Thank you so much for doing this for us and Amy, amazing creating this opportunity. So really grateful.
Thank you.
So um, I am a leadership coach, and so I am working in the corporate environment, and I work with leaders and groups, and so it had me giggle when you said, when people come with plain vanilla talk and I can do this, it feels sometimes, and it felt for me for the longest time, I'm saying the same thing all the other, facilitators and coaches are saying, except when I am in the room and I am with people, it's quite unique. But the ability to put that in words and talk about it, I guess the part that I had to get over was, well, everybody knows everything, the same thing. We're all saying the same thing. Well, not really.
Mm-mm.
Not really. And so that's a little bit of, Agnieszka was talking about, well, how do you make the shift from like giving academic talks to I want to get paid and I have something important to say. I have that shift of, well, I have my own flavor and I have something I truly believe in. And so where I am right now, the message that lives in me and that I'm bringing out is the notion of the freedom to stay, the choice to stay when it's hard.
Okay.
We've been taught to leave, start a new thing,
Mhm.
leave the job, leave the work, leave the country, leave
Yeah.
and reinvent yourself. And there's a whole machine behind it. And, we're dreaming of new places and new opportunities. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And we sever roots and we sever so much when we do that. And then we end up alone and unrooted and unmoored. So this is where I am now and sort of the message that I'm bringing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
What is the freedom and the choice to stay and explore the freedom within that, within the boxes that otherwise we're experiencing? And it feels like I have to leave the box. No, the box will go with you.
Right.
How do you melt that and
Yeah.
reauthor your life?
Right.
Um, that's, and I really kind of wanted to maybe test that with you. When I
Yeah.
bring this to people, it's like, I didn't think of it that way. It feels like it, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
That's the part about it, right? How
Yeah.
do you actually do it? And the part I bring in options.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how that lands.
I love how that lands in my head. I mean, there's also like you could think of it when I hear the power, it's like the power to stay. So when I think about hearing that, it's almost like the troubles that you're experiencing is always going to be following you because it's an internal shift that needs to happen. Typically, it's almost like that's how you would see it. Like so, because we hear a lot of motivational speakers or speakers about professional personal development that have that approach. But I like how it's like how you're going to be framing it about the power of staying, which is which is such a nice twist to it. So I
Mhm,
like how you're packaging that. I'd be
mhm,
very interested to like to read it and to also see how you speak it. But I really, really like that concept because
okay.
it's something that I've heard. I like the twist that you're doing with it,
Okay.
as opposed to like how not it's not like as opposed to saying it's about like changing yourself, but it's like the power of staying. So I love that concept of outside in when you're really talking about inside out, right? But it's that feeling, yeah. So I don't know. I like the
Exactly.
visual they gave me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the shift that it's about freedom.
Yeah,
I mean, the more I sat with it, like, what is it that we're really after? What are we really after? We're about freedom. And so
Hmm.
that there's some logic or there's some story that freedom comes with leaving
Hmm.
and leaving behind whatever job system,
Yeah.
relationship. And this is the freedom of staying and reauthoring your relationship with everything else.
Yeah. I like
Mm.
that.
And it's not about being stuck, right? It's
Yeah.
being awake and free where you are. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I could see that being used, being spoken at for internal meetings, for like those internal sessions, HRs. Yeah, I could totally see that. I like
Mhm.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Companies would love that. They'd be like, yeah, please don't let my
Yeah,
employees
I
leave.
know. I
Convince everybody to
know.
stay. It's your problem. Fix it while you're here.
I know exactly because
People like
I go and I work with leaders, and then when they start feeling really free, they're the way they solve the equation is, I think I need to leave this job, and I'm like, that is not what I'm saying. Not that
that.
you don't have to leave it, but you that's not the solution. The solution is bump up against your own constructs and
Totally.
stay there and figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Perspective shift.
All right.
We love
Do
it.
we have, oh, Meta has it. Okay, I'm going to bring Meta up, remove spotlight. So we're going to bring
Hello.
Terrence up.
Hello,
Hi, Nasheen.
hello.
I'm Terrence. And Metafor is my company. We work with
Cool.
large brands on their immersive interactive events. So I
Nice.
talk a lot about immersive. Actually, if you
Cool.
Google Terrence Immersive, I'm what shows up. So that's
Okay.
good.
Cool.
I loved what you said about like events are like rock shows. And I'm just kind of curious as to like if you use that when you're pitching speakers, like because Eric, the guy who's basically teaching all of us his
Yeah,
technique. He's teaching a way that like our stories are like songs, so we build set lists and then we
yeah,
can kind of play shows that way. You can tell
totally.
I like music.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was just curious about that and also curious about how podcasts and like
Mhm.
TV show appearances, how that all factors in. Do you book mostly like live events and like things like that?
We do a lot of both. We do a lot of virtual and we do a lot of live events. So a lot of the like compared to other bureaus, we were having this one. I was speaking at a panel with other bureau agents, and one bureau was like, "Oh, maybe we do." Some a question was like, "How important is virtual now?" And she's like, I don't know, maybe we do 20% virtual. And I was like, what? We do like 50% virtual. So it's people are still really booking virtual because like we work with a lot of multinationals and it's so much cheaper to not have to fly everybody in. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of internal meetings that we're doing. I would say we're doing more internal events than we are doing like full on conferences and full on big stages and things like that. So which is an
Cool.
which is an interesting flip, right? So um
Yeah, could you
yeah.
internal events, like how do they
So it could be
c-
like a Heritage Month. It could be like, let's say, Black History Month or Mental Health
yeah.
Awareness Month, or it could be a sales kickoff, or it could be just some sort of partner meeting. So it's like an
Got
internal
it.
event that they're bringing in an outside speaker to talk about, anything motivational, anything about leadership. It could be a lot of futurists, thinking about
Yeah.
what's happening next in their industry and how to solve for that.
That's my field usually. Yeah,
Yeah.
futurist. Yeah.
And when you're
So
talking
more
about
intimate talks, huh?
exactly
Yeah.
more, and well, not intimate, it could be a really big company, right? Of
That's
about
true.
500 folks, 1,000 folks. But if we're thinking about podcasts, like you mentioned, and interviews, I love those because they're so important. They're credibility markers. So being out there, putting your thought leadership out there for it to live forever and for people to be able to find you that way, it's kind of part of the job. You really do have to do that. You can't just
Yeah.
like live in a silo and just hope that people kind of hit you up. You have to go out there, get interviewed, interview other people, open up those doors and connect in that way.
Nice. And those are usually more assets in the end that you use to like book talks.
It is assets to book talks, but it's also like a gateway into finding new audiences who might be interested in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so think about it that way. You should.
Yeah.
There's whole industries. In fact, we've partnered with some people who do podcast placements. Like it's a
Yeah.
thing they do.
Yeah. There's an agency that I'm talking to that does that, and I thought it was interesting where they're like, yeah, we book talks and podcasts. I'm like, that's interesting, the two
Yeah.
worlds. But you're so right. Like on TikTok, I do videos, and I started talking just about immersive with my company, like working with like Netflix, Prime, and all that on their live events. And it turned more into like wellness, where it's like you are the one being immersed, so it's empowering. which is very similar to Monica, you know, like empowerment and stuff. So it kind of goes more into wellness, and it's almost like the market's telling me what I should talk about sometimes. Do you find some speakers it happens like that?
You have to kind of keep up with the market, the trends. Like I, especially when, DEI was completely under attack. I
Hmm.
felt so bad for all the speakers that were in that space. They had to just change the language. Like they couldn't say equity anymore. You had to say culture and belonging. Like it was just a semantic change. So yes, to have longevity in this business, you have to keep changing and adapting because you just have to continue your thought leadership. So yes, the market will dictate what you may be requested to speak. And sometimes it can feel very uncomfortable. And you're like, I don't really want to speak that.
Yeah.
But because I had like one speaker, she was like a mentorship speaker. She wrote a book about mentorship. And she's like, if I have to speak about mentorship one more time, I'm gonna lose it. And so it's like, but it takes some time to like change up your brand. But yes, in the question of the market will tell you perhaps what your lane should be.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And one last thing about live events, like booking for events. Do you feel like sometimes there's a sort of like they like to play it safe with events? Like we want a predictable kind of speaker. I mean, in terms of result, I understand like they want somebody who can like deliver on stage and like electrify the crowd, but
Yeah.
just kind of like in terms of presentation styles, do people like look for like, oh, they've got a new, more like interactive way? Like I know with Mind Valley, there's a lot of speakers that'll do activations where it's like, okay, everybody get out of your chair and like, you
Yeah.
know. So, I mean, what's your take on that? Is that something that when you pitch people, like they kind of look for? We want a speaker that's going to be more
Yeah.
like a Paul McKenna or something like that.
We do get that. Yeah, we get all sorts. Some might be more vanilla and maybe just depending on the room and the logistics of things. But I love when I can like pitch something interactive, and speakers love to be able to talk about that. And even organizers love it like that. There's one speaker named Johnny Cupcakes. He does this whole like crazy introduction. He comes out in like a coffin, and then they undo it, and
That
then
is like
it's
a
like
rock show.
sprinkles. Yeah, sprinkles come out of the box, and then he's like in the middle of the speech, he's like, okay, look under your seat. There's some free gifts, So yeah,
Wow.
it's really fun and it's a value add for folks, but it's a really fun keynote because it's about creativity. So obviously that's on brand. People are looking for that experience.
Nice. And
So
so, would you recommend, like, for me, like I talk about immersive, like having more things like that front, like facing, client facing, like
yeah,
pitch ready, just like, oh, my talk's gonna be an immersive talk, kind of like, yeah.
yeah, and you could be like, hey, it might be a little bit more expensive, or not expensive. But you can tack on the fee a little bit higher. Like this is what you get for that, or you can, we can scale it back because maybe your budget can only afford this. That's fine too. But hey, this is other option to really amp up the situation. Get creative with it.
Love it.
I don't see why not. It's again a rock show. You can totally treat it as such. It's a production
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Nasheen. It's
for
so great to
sure.
meet you.
My
And
pleasure.
thanks, Amy. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Yay.
Well, this will be recorded. This is recorded, and I will be posting it. Actually, I'm going to make this public so other group can find this video as well, not just our private group. So
Great.
see,
Hello, world.
Hello.
we're gonna have up next. Okay, so Georgia Pop. I'm looking at the time. Georgia Pop is going to be our last person that's going to be up here talking with us.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. Hi, Nasheen.
Hi,
Thank you
Georgia.
for being here.
For sure.
I have spoken to different new entrepreneurial at new entrepreneurial conferences for new entrepreneurs. And that has kind of been the theme of where I have been speaking. I've also been doing another event, and I didn't really think about this until you had spoken about the cupcake guy a second ago. But we manufacture candles, and we do this event. We do multiple different things, but we'll do an event. We call it Candles and Comedy. So
Okay.
people will come in here and they'll make candles, and then they have a comedy show while the candles are drying. It's
Cool.
really, really a fun idea. But I've done this one time for an organization. They had us come in and we took their entire team through making candles. I think there's probably like 500 people there. It was a large event. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. It's kind of
Yeah.
chaotic, but we made it work. And then I gave a speech at the end of it. And it was so long ago that I don't even remember exactly what I spoke about. But do you find that organizations would really have room for that?
room for the interactivity or the
Yeah,
purchase, like, yeah,
to do something like that, like to come in, to
yeah,
set up something, have people make a candle. It's a 2.5, 3 hour event, or two hour event, where the first hour is them making a candle, the second hour is me talking and speaking about something that, whether it's like leadership or delegation or practice,
yeah,
and then going on to, yeah, and then afterward their candles dry, they pick up their candle and then they go, to the
yeah.
next session. Or is that too much?
I, you know, I could never say never in a sense. Like there's so many women's conferences that I have attended and that like I've booked speakers for that like the whole experiential thing. So that's where I can see that living. It just depends on who that company or that audience is and what that event is about. But I think there is definitely a space for that because I have seen sort of again is that experiential factor and maybe they're looking to figure out how I can fill out some time or maybe make it like a breakout session that's more interactive. It may not be like the main keynote, the highlight, but certainly it could be like a breakout situation where so I wouldn't say don't discount that idea. But I think you need to kind of refine it a little bit better. Um, get really clear on what that offering is. But it's definitely not going to be for everyone, right? It's going to be like a very certain type of event, different certain type of but there's so many women's events that would totally love that kind of concept. Like there's so many. Yeah.
Very cool. When I did
It's
it
a fun
before,
idea.
it was a mixture of men and women.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because the men loved it just as much as the women did.
Yeah. I'm sure they get a chance, yeah.
Yeah. At least that's how I felt at the time. I don't
Interesting.
know.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever pitched something like that so far, in the sense of the candle specific. I mean, I definitely have had companies buy our speakers candles because they have a candle line. So that's something they did, but it wasn't like an interactive making of the candle. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
That's an interesting idea in itself.
Yes, as a giveaway because that's people love like sort of value add around what you can like take a keepsake. Why not? You know? Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate all those different
You're very
ideas.
welcome.
Okay. Um, Hang on. You know what? I'm going to have you guys lower the hand because we're coming to the top of the hour and we need to close. So if you have any question, you probably need to reach out directly to
Yeah.
Nasheen. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And yes.
Amy, if you're gonna please email everybody my contact information, my company information. I'm so happy to be connected, and please let me know when you reach out. Like, hey, we met through Amy's, session here today. So happy to be of a resource to you. Remember, we're a speakers bureau. We also have a whole consulting side, and if you're really feeling stuck and you really want to get like a partner to help you be accountable to building out your brand and kind of giving you really strategic guidance it's something that we do here at Gravity Speakers, and you'll get to meet my husband too. So we work really well there. But feel free, reach out to me. I'm so happy to bounce around ideas, and I know it's a tough journey out there, and sometimes you feel like you have to do so many different things, but what's the most effective thing to do? So I'm happy to give you guidance around that.
I mean, that's what I was going to close this with. For us who's like brand new, brand new, brand new. What one thing we have to now stop everything and go do it right now to to further our speaking career.
To further your speaking career, what you should be doing right away.
Right away, if there's one thing you go, drop everything, do this one thing now. For us who are brand
Yeah.
new with no TED Talks, X, no nothing, no pay, no nothing. What should we do? We don't have a website put together.
Do your website and get really clear again what is it that you're bringing to the stage, what are your keynote, it's content in the end because it can be all flashy, it can be all, but in the end if you come up to the stage and your whatever you're saying it doesn't really land, it's then what's the point? So really get clear on your content, practice it out there. But put it out there on a website, put your speaker centric bio, get your headshots together, and really think about yourself as a brand and think of yourself as a company and really think about how you do need to invest in yourself. It does take different pieces like that to do that. But again, content is key. So do not skimp on that.
Content is king, is always king. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Nasheen, for joining us today. This is so fabulous. We got so much valuable information, and it's great. Thank you.
Yeah. You feel free to also connect with me on LinkedIn. I feel like that's always helpful. I'm gonna put it in the chat right there. So
Yeah, I will be putting all that into our group plus in your contact information in the description of the video. So whoever watches this will get your information.
gotcha. You may not want to put my email
Not
out
your
there.
email address, not your email address. I will not do that. Just your LinkedIn contact and your
LinkedIn's great.
website, but not your LinkedIn, not your email address.
Not my
Email
social,
address,
not my phone number.
those I have, but I'm not going to give that away unless that's going to be a good price you guys
Oh my
pay, you
goodness.
know?
Hey,
Thank you, both of you. Thank you, Nasheen and
thank you
Amy.
all. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Have a
thank you
wonderful
all.
day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.